50th episode. Who would have thunk it? And last night we hit 44,000 while Uncle Fred Funk was talking on Fox News. So this movement's really getting big. So tonight I'm going to tell my full story from beginning to end. And like I said, I'll throw in some times and some dates and we'll start from the beginning. Okay. I hope everybody's doing well. I'll be back in a minute. Get a pen and paper to write on, take some notes, and get some lemon juice and water if you need it, coffee, whatever. Be right back. Okay. All right. Like I was just saying, welcome. Welcome to Dirt Road Discussions, often imitated, never duplicated. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but not when you're coming here to take this information that is free and bringing it somewhere else to sell it. That's bullshit. That makes you no better than any of the jackasses at Big Pharma that have made us sick. This channel is about the truth. If you don't like the truth, there are other places to go. And I invite you to leave. Simple. We have a movement here, guys. We don't go by internet bullshit and books, publications. We go by real life testimonies of people that are living this life. Every one of you that comes on here is either listening, observing, or actually doing this like I did. And I thank you all for trusting my voice and for joining in. Basically, this is our movement to get our medical freedom. Plain and simple. We're tired of it. And that's how this country got to be in the mess that it's in. They have weaponized our parasites. We are mammals. Don't let anybody tell you, if you go to your doctor or homeopath and they start to tell you why you're sick and they don't tell you the reason why you're sick is because you're a mammal and you have parasites in your system, that piece of toilet paper they have framed on the wall behind them should give you a good indication that they're full of shit. That's why they framed the toilet paper, all right? Remember that. That's why we're here. Our medical freedom. We are tired of being lied to. So, now that I got that little burst of energy out of the way. So, Dirt Road Discussions. How did it all begin? Well, I'll start with me. So back in 2012, I can tell you it was a Friday in August. I left work. I worked for the Department of Defense. I was working for Electric Boat, building submarines. And I was working nights. We left work and I was driving home. I got extremely dizzy, like fall down dizzy. Drove 35 miles home and fell out of my truck, crawled in the house, went to bed. The next day I woke up and I still felt terrible. Still like bed spin dizzy, like wanting to put your foot down, bed spins. Called my mom and said, if I still feel this bad when I'm going to go back to bed, if I still feel this bad when I wake up, I'm calling 911. So I woke up later on that day and still couldn't get up. So I called 911. The rescue came, took me to the hospital. I was there for days and they diagnosed me with vertigo. And as you guys know, that's how I'm so well versed with when people get dizzy. I can call it right out and tell you what the different degrees of, there's vertigo and there's labyrinthitis. But anyway, so the hospital, sent home, vertigo. I went to my doctor to follow up. My doctor put me on something called meclizine. Meclizine is a heavy duty Dramamine. Basically, I was on that for about 3 weeks and he sent me for a second opinion because he couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So they sent me to an ENT and allergy guy and who had sent me out for an MRI, run a full battery of tests, and the MRI showed I had lesions on my brain. The other part of it was still being dizzy. He said the big indication was the fact that I couldn't even ride in a car. He said the difference was driving in a car when you can hold the steering wheel and you have stability, and then when you are riding in the car and you feel like you're on a roller coaster. So that's where he said, basically, and I'm just going to be truthful. He said, I love when everybody does my fucking job for me. He said, you don't have vertigo. He said, you got labyrinthitis. He said, vertigo is a snow globe. You shake the snow globe, the snow crystals settle to the bottom in no more than 15 hours tops. He said, labyrinthitis is an inner ear infection that's keeping your inner ear and those crystals inflamed. That's why you don't know where you are in time or space. That's what vertigo is. So basically, after all the testing, he came up with the theory that I'd been bitten by a tick. Now, you guys all know I'm not a doctor. I grew up on a farm. I ran equipment all my life. I do live on a dirt road and I do drive a 30-year-old truck. I'm just as plain Jane as you guys are. So he asked me how my guts were. And I said, they're fine. Why? And he said, because I'm going to Chernobyl your ass. He said, I'm going to give you 3,000 milligrams of amoxicillin a day for 30 days. Because he said, this has crossed your blood-brain barrier and we need to try to get it out of there. He said, that's why you're having these issues. We got to get to your inner ear. I said, okay. So he assumed it was a tick bite because of the farm, being in construction, being outside all my life. And then here I go with that battery of amoxicillin. At almost the end, I went back to him and he said, how do you feel? And I said, I don't feel terrible, not as bad. He had put me on prednisone for just 5 days. And like the third day out of the 5 with the prednisone, it was like a light switch. I felt a lot better. So went back to him. He said, okay, you feel all right? I said, I felt all right. Went back to my doctor, had a huge argument with my doctor because my doctor was telling me that if the hospital said it was vertigo, it was vertigo. And I said, well, that's funny because your second opinion just told me it was labyrinthitis and said it's a tick bite and I've got lesions on my brain. So as far as I'm concerned, you're a piece of shit and he won the race because he's the one that cured me. Needless to say, that was the last time I went to that doctor. And I don't care. I mean, I know people that still go to him and that's fine. If he wants to sit there and quack, he can quack all he wants. But that was the beginning of the fire in my belly. Of this, I guess, subliminally to get to where I am now. So I'd gone back to work, and after a while of being at work, walking around the facility, basically my feet were killing me. Like I was getting a new pair of boots like every week because I just could not get comfortable. And my hands were shaking. I would leave the house, I would go to work and basically just forget. I would go to like Dunkin' Donuts and I would get an iced tea and a donut or something, and I would turn around and go back home, and I'd be like, well, shit, I was supposed to go to work, or I would go to work, and I would come home 12 hours later and the shower was still running, or I would be doing the dishes in my house and I would look outside and I would go cut the grass and I would forget to shut the water off, and like a Tupperware lid or something would slide over the drain and it would flood the kitchen, go into the basement. Obviously, you know what the story is from there. It lifted all the tiles in the kitchen, made a real mess. That was my life. Hands shaking, muddy memory, covered in bruises. And my mom was like, well, that's just hereditary. You know, I'm covered in bruises. I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Well, then I started to get headaches. And the headaches were, they were bad. They were hard to describe. Like even if you tried to like move a muscle, it was the worst pain in the world. And I've had some stuff in my life happen to me that doesn't have to do with this. That I'll tell you what, I would rather. It was worse. So I go to work, terrible headache. The guys are asking, you're repeating yourself, and I'm like, how do I know if I'm repeating myself or not? So I go to my boss one night and I said, hey, listen, my headache is so bad, I'm leaving, and find somebody to cover for me with the major move crew. And he said, all right. So I called one of the country's leading Lyme pioneers, Jim Glore. He'd been around forever, and that's all he ever did, working with the entomologists at URI, and he was right there for a long time, leading the pack. Called him up, and I told him who I was, mentioned a few people that I knew because I know he wasn't taking any new patients. But I said I was given the amoxicillin. I was told it was a tick bite. I feel like shit. I've got this headache. Can I please come in? And they said, get your ass in here right now. So I went in, and when I went in, I could barely walk because the headache was just killing me. I sat down and he looked at me and he said, how long have you had these? Pointing at the bruises. And I said, I don't know, I get them. I'm in construction and whatever. My mom says that we've always bruised easy. He said, that's not bruising. He said, that's your blood being killed and being puddling up underneath your skin. He said, you have babesiosis. I then started to tell him about what happened at the ENT and allergy guy, told him about going to the hospital for days, being dizzy, et cetera, et cetera. And it just confirmed everything that he already knew because he'd been doing this for decades. So babesiosis, what they call Lyme disease, what we have figured out today, it's a spirochete. And obviously, luckily, he was able to take me in and to tell me exactly what was going on. So after going through that whole thing, he gave me some prescriptions to try to get rid of the headache. I had actually taken, the headache was so bad, I had taken 24 Excedrin migraines to try to get the headache to go away, and it didn't even touch it. And when I told him that, he basically just made faces at me because, you know, that's not something you're supposed to do. That's like, they're just basically heavy caffeine pills, and it doesn't work. But he told me to go home, and I went home, and in 2 days, the hospital called, they installed a port in my heart. And that began my relationship with Option Care, with the visiting nurses coming to my house. They would ship the antibiotics, the IV to the house, you know, with the heparin, all the different things that go along with it. Plus, they had me on like carbamazepine, warfarin, zithromycin, doxycycline, cipromycin, bicillin, with an 8-gauge needle. Bicillin, guys, is like syrup. It's an antibiotic, and an 8-gauge wire is like cut open an extension cord and take a piece of copper wire out of it and stab yourself in the ass. If you want to know what pain is, that's pain. Plus, being a syrup going into you like that, it leaves like a welt. So every week was like each butt cheek every week. It wasn't fun. There was Mepron, there was Zithromax, there was Ocuflox eye drops. For those of you who have heard me before about eye drops, Ocuflox eye drops have fluoride in them. Look it up. All right. If you don't think that fluoride is bad, as a construction person all my life, I've installed liquid nitrogen tanks. They're solid stainless steel. I've also installed fluoride tanks. Fluoride eats stainless steel. When you install a fluoride tank, they actually have ceramic on the outside of them because it eats through the stainless. Go look at your toothpaste tubes. It says right on it, if you ingest fluoride, to call poison control. This is the shit that they've been giving us forever, okay? Also, he gave me amoxicillin. This is where the nastiness began, because now I was trying to fight off all these years. And when they put the port in my heart, I actually was awake for it. It was an option. And the guy said, I said, for this to cross the blood-brain barrier and to do this, he said, with the lesions you have, he said, and what's going on, and you could see my lungs because you can see where they run the line right into your heart. He said, you've had this to create this kind of damage for at least a dozen years. So prior to all of this, I mean, I was doing acupuncture. As a regular person, I was just, it came on that fast. It sucked. But going through all that stuff and then getting the port in my heart and then starting to introduce all of those medications, my lungs were filling up with fluid, congestive heart failure, and my internal organs were failing. I was going for ultrasounds, MRIs, you name it. I was their guinea pig. So kind of going with the timeline. So that was in 2012. So in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, all of those, every Thursday, the nurse was coming to the house and they were changing the dressing on my port. and doing all of my blood work, which they had to do, checking my numbers to make sure everything was okay while this was going on. And once again, like I said, that was option care. That was basically just, that was the nursing facility that was coming to the house to make sure everything was all right and that I was alive. It was about August of 2016 when I ran into a friend of mine whose daughter is a published doctor. She did a study on ivermectin and how horses, dogs, and humans share 90% of our DNA. We're mammals. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not doing that. That's a wormer. We give that to the animals at the farm. That's crazy. I'm not doing that stuff, you know. But I went to Dr. Glore again, and he basically prescribed what they call Plaquenil to me. And Plaquenil, hydroxychloroquine, whatever you want to call it, it's a different name for it. But I went to CVS to get the prescription filled, and it was $288, and I couldn't afford it because I had been out of work all that time with no coverage and no income. So basically, I lost everything. So from August, when I went to CVS to get that Plaquenil, basically said, forget it. And I wound up calling a friend of mine that owns a tack shop, a farm and pet store. And I said, what do you have for ivermectin? He said, I got a bunch of it. So I went down there, and at the time, my hands were still shaking like Muhammad Ali towards the end. You know, the Parkinson's, the tremors, I had them. Still had that muddy memory. That was something that was just, I thought I was going to be stuck that way. So I went down and I looked at the whole display of all of the wormers, as you call them, as they call them. And I saw one box out of the dozens that were there on the shelf, and it said Equimax. And it said ivermectin and praziquantel. And my muddy memory flip-flopped Plaquenil and praziquantel. And I said, shit, there it is for $12.50 a tube. So I bought some. And I went out to my car, and I sat down, and I put just enough to put on my pinky nail, just a little bit, and I ate it. And I was pissed. It didn't taste like apples, as some of you laugh about that, but I'm telling you, as you're finding out now, it doesn't taste that good. But I went back home. I had a piece of paper on the passenger seat. I used to write, like that day, I wrote alleys and I wrote home, because I'd be driving down the road in my car or my truck and I knew where I was and I didn't know why. You know, that was how it was working. I would go to the grocery store and I would walk inside. You might as well take everything off the shelves. When you wind up with that kind of a muddy memory, you just don't know. It would come on at any time. So I flipped the paper over from alleys to home, and I drove home, and I went in the house, took my IV bag out of the fridge, because you have to do that, because if you put that cold fluid directly into your heart, it cramps up just like your leg would if you were jogging or something. Let me tell you, that's also a pain you don't want to feel. Take it out for a while. And so at the time, I'm on that port 4 hours a day, and I'm on 120 pills a day. This is how everything, and I don't want to say it's all pills, because the Bicillin is not a pill. The Mepron is not a pill. But those were all the things I had to do daily for that 4 years and 10 months. So, which is actually 4 years and 5 months, because I started to overlap with the ivermectin at that 5-month mark. So I take the bag out, I hook up the IV, I did the Mepron, I did the pills, I did everything I had to do that night, and I went to bed, and I soaked the mattress sweating. You guys talk about sweating when you're herxing and all of that. I was there, I've done it. I woke up the next morning, I was still alive. So I came out to the fridge and I grabbed the Equimax and I took another dose of it and just stayed on it. And in 6 days, I felt like I hadn't felt in years. But I stopped, because when you dose a horse, you only do that once a month. You dose a horse 8 to 10 times a year to quote unquote worm them. And, you know, like a dog, you do every 6 weeks. You know, they should be done more often, but that's about what you do with mammals like that. Anyway, so I thought I was in the clear. and I started to go downhill again. So I was only going to Dr. Glore every month. So I go the next month to him and I told him I couldn't afford the Plaquenil. And so he was changing up my regimen. It was also always multi-medicating because the parasites are alive. There is no discrepancy that that spirochetes are ugly little bastards and what they do. But this is before regular mammal parasites, guys. This is before I'd even figured out what the hell what we're working on now. So go to Glore, get the medication changed around, go to the pharmacy, pick the stuff up, stopped at Tractor Supply, bought another tube of Equimax, went home. Hooked into my IV, took the rest of the pills, started taking the Equimax all over again, automatically started feeling better. This time I started taking the Equimax more confidently because the first tube, it didn't harm me, made me sweat like crazy, but I didn't know about what was going on, so I just kept going. Once again, fell right back downhill. On the third month, went to the doctor. He changed up the medications again. I went to Tractor Supply. I bought 2 doses of Equimax, in which case I went home and I had no idea. I had no idea what it was doing to my liver, my kidneys, like anything. So I took a whole 1,350-pound shot all at once because at that point, they had already told me 3 different times I was going to die. So when you have somebody look you in the eyes, when you live a life like this and you've been sick this long and somebody tells you you're going to die, you don't give 2 shits. So I had nothing to lose. I took a whole 1,350 pounds and I did my IV, I did my pills, and I went to bed. The next day I woke up, son of a bitch, I didn't die. So I didn't do a dose that morning, but I started again that night with the second tube that I bought that one time. Now I knew that it was the Equimax that was getting me better. So as soon as that was done, I just went back to Tractor Supply and I bought a bunch of it and I just stayed right on it. And I never told him what I was doing. I never told my visiting nurse what I was doing. And every week, because of the warfarin and all the different things that I was on, the gabapentin, et cetera, they had to check my liver and kidney functions and to make sure that I wasn't going to shut down. Well, she came in on the 5th month and she said, I said, what's going on? She said, nothing. I said, well, have a seat. We got to have a talk. And she goes, oh boy, here we go. Now, this is the same girl that had been coming to the house every Thursday for all that time. This is at the 4-year, 10-month mark. I said, today's your lucky day. And she said, why, what's up? I said, today is the day you take this out of my heart neatly while you're here, or I take it out while you're here and you clean up the fucking mess. I'm done. I'm done with your port. I'm done with your pills. And she said, she opened up my folder right away and she said, I can't do that. So why not? I'm the patient. I'm telling you what to do. She said, your numbers, look at your numbers. Your liver and kidney functions are perfect. Everything is increasing. She said, your oxygen levels, all your numbers are doing great. Why would you want to stop this now? I said, how long has that been going on? And she said, well, over the last several months. So I went out in the kitchen and I grabbed the empty tube of Equimax and I brought it out and I put it on the coffee table and I said, that's why I'm getting better. And she looked at it and right on the packet, right on the tube, it says, as you guys have seen, not to be consumed by humans, not to be consumed by horses that are going to be consumed by humans. And she said, this stuff is going to kill you. And I said, really? You just told me that all of my numbers are doing fine, that they're all fantastic and leveled off. And now you're telling me it's going to kill me? Let's go. Get this thing out of my heart. So that was the day. She took the port out of my heart. I stopped all 120 pills, shots, liquids, anything prescription, you name it, it was gone out the window that day. Fast forwarding, because I still take it every day. I still take it a lot. I take it before I go out into large crowds. I take it if I'm going to be, if I'm going to go to the store and there's a bunch of people, I drink a big glass of HCQ and I take an extra pencil eraser because I know you can't overdose on it. You have a better chance of overdosing on ivermectin. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. You have a better chance of overdosing on mushrooms in the produce section of the grocery store than you do of overdosing on ivermectin. I misspoke, and I'm sorry for that. So this past January was 5 years. No doctors, no illness, just Equimax. Ivermectin was what cured my babesiosis, aka Lyme disease, 100%. December 2021, I went and got a full battery of testing done. I got the results January, first week of January. My heart enzymes went from 29%, meaning I had a 29% chance of having a heart attack, a stroke, a heart disease, you name it, to under 4% of having any of that done. When I went back to see Jim Glore, he sat down when he got my new results and he could not believe what he'd seen, because in the beginning, he told me I was as crazy as a shithouse rat for even trying what I was doing. And the last time I went to see him, he looked me right in the face. He said, as a doctor, you're a fucking lunatic. He said, as a farmer, you're probably one of the smartest people I've ever talked to in my life. He said, you've actually figured this out. And it's kind of funny that he was sitting there trying to throw all of his school book mumbo jumbo at me. And I said, Doc, you just told me that I cured Lyme disease with Equimax, with ivermectin, that spirochetes are some of the worms that they're talking about. All of my internal organs, everything. And listen, I smoked 2 packs a day for a long time, drank, I painted equipment. I worked in gravel banks. If you work in gravel banks, you know what silica is? That fine dirt powder. You know when they say your lungs don't regenerate? That's another fallacy. That's more bullshit that they want to scare into you. Think about all the people that come on with COPD, that they're doing okay now. How about the biologist that came on that said that her uncle had black lung? That all the inflammation in his lungs were gone. The people from Ohio. If you guys weren't on that night, that's recorded. That's pretty incredible, because think of how many people died, how many millions of people died of black lung. That's crazy. All the cleaning solutions. My lungs are clean. You know, I talk about hemoglobin all the time, guys, the oxygen in your red blood cells. My hemoglobin was 16.7. On a chart, they give you 13.5 to 17.5. I was at 16.7. That's pretty good oxygen levels. Just Equimax. It's all I do. The lemon juice and water. That HCQ, the old Roger Williams recipe. The Borrelia number, negative. The activity in my bloodstream. You know, there's stories about parasites and metals in your body and blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of stuff that you wind up hearing about. And, you know, even talking, and I'm going by what I would talk about with my doctor, because in the end, he couldn't believe it. Here's a guy, 40 years of doing this. And I'm sitting here talking to him about what I did and what I figured out. It's crazy. You know, parasites and metal in your system. You can't avoid metal, guys. It's in the air, it's in the food we eat. You know, if you eat fish, like I said, you wind up getting mercury. If you eat meat, you wind up getting iron in your system. You get parasites by eating raw meat. You get parasites by eating sushi. You get parasites by eating raw shellfish. I mean, this is basic science. Chapter 13 is not going to help you when it comes to learning how nature is. You know, I mean, I guess it will, depending on what books you go and look, but you really got to look hard and look closely, because a lot of this stuff that they feed us is all lies. And that's how we wound up where we are. When you have all this stuff in your system and you kill off these parasites, they try to sell you a bunch of what they call snake oils. They've been around forever. And these snake oils are, you know, they're supplements. You know, there's stuff. There's all kinds of shit. It's all marketing. Vitamin D comes from the sun. It comes from milk. If you want to go to the store or go somewhere and buy vitamin D in bottles, they'll have 20 different bottles up. All vitamin D3. Well, then it comes down to a big psychological warfare game. Which one are you going to buy now? Well, vitamin D, it comes from the sun. Well, there's one with there's a bottle right there. It says vitamin D3. It says Nature's Bounty or whatever on it. Well, it says nature and it's got the sunshine on it. So that must be the one I got to buy. So they've sucked you into buying that one. It's a chemically produced product and your body cannot process it. As long as you have parasites in your liver and kidneys, they do not function properly. If you remember back when we were kids, they had the hanker for a hunk of cheese guy that would tell you when your body's not running on all 8 cylinders, it's not going to fire right. You're going to feel like shit. And all you do is pass that stuff out, whether it's in your stool or whether it's in your urine. I'm not making this up, guys. This is just basic science. If you listen to the medical society that got you sick, anybody involved with that bullshit, all it is lies. Think about all the nurses and doctors that come on here and tell you we're over the target with what we're doing here. So any of those metals that the parasites might ingest, pick up in your system, when the parasites die, they go to your liver and kidneys. From there, they pass out in your stool. Mother Nature made us, or God, depending on how you look at it, made us perfectly. If you cut your finger, it heals. If you break a bone, it heals. If you get the parasites and the bacteria away from your liver and your kidneys or from your pancreas or wherever it may be in your body, get them away. Your body will automatically regenerate. I am proof of that. Many of you are proof of that because if you start taking any one of the ivermectin 1.87s, 2 pencil erasers a day with lemon juice and water, you're healing on your own. That's not anything else that you're doing. It's common knowledge. Nobody's telling you to take anything extra. And as far as that goes, for a lot of the newcomers, I do get some questions about that, the 2 pencil erasers a day, right? Growing up on the farm, they had an expression, it was called keep it simple, stupid. That's because people overthink things. People always have an angle. People are always trying to do stuff, right? And it's, when you get these tubes of the ivermectin paste for horses, which have the purest form of mammal on the planet, that's why if the world ever came to an end and you saw a horse drinking water, you can drink that water. Because a horse in that big head of theirs has sensory perception. They can tell if there are any contaminants in that water. If that water was bad, they wouldn't go anywhere near it. Same thing with what they eat. Try to feed a horse a bad bale of hay. Ask any horse owner. There's plenty of them on here. You got a better chance of meeting God than getting near in that horse trying to feed it that bad flake. So, anyway, just all that stuff passes out of your system. Just to finish that off, I'm going to get to it. Basically, guys, we know now they have weaponized the parasites in our system as mammals. If you, like I said, if you go to your doctor or homeopath and they don't tell you that's why you're sick, then you should walk out because all they're going to do is lie to you. It's all about the money. All right? Seriously. This whole freaking thing, it's all about money. You think Big Pharma is in it for you to get better? You think the FDA approves all this shit with all the preservatives and all the junk and the sugars that they put in all this stuff? You think they're doing that for our health? Absolutely not. You think your insurance company is on your side? No, they're not on your side. The FDA approves food that gets you sick. It feeds the parasites in your system, right? Then you go to the doctor and the doctor charges your insurance company $2,000 to $2,500 for every office visit. So your insurance company's now gotten a piece of it. Then the doctor goes in and he writes you a prescription and he gets about 40% of whatever prescription he just wrote for you. So there's his cut. And he throws his golf clubs in the trunk of his car and he goes off to the country club and you go home sick, just like you were before, Band-Aided. All they did was kill the bacteria that was making you sick in your system and not enough to really kill the parasites that are underlying, knocking us out 100% from the ground floor up. Like I said, I mean, that's why I use that toilet paper analogy. Doctors frame their toilet paper. They're so full of shit, they frame it and they put it on the wall in their room. It means absolutely nothing. It just means that they're a good liar, just like politicians. You believe your politicians now after everything that's been going on? 96% of all human illness is caused by parasites. We are mammals. 3% is caused by bacteria. 1% is unknown, or car accidents. Those are only my numbers. Those are not official numbers. Okay. President Trump, you guys have heard me say this all the time. President Trump has said there is a cure for 6,000 illnesses. I'm telling you, I think it's ivermectin. He also said, how are you going to leave your footprints in the sands of time? This is how I'm doing it, by getting this truth out. We need to learn the truth. We need to take our own lives back and stop listening to everybody else. Shut your damn television off. They've got us afraid. They've got us buying all these snake oils and running to the store to buy all this bullshit. Whatever happened to when you were a kid and you just took chicken noodle soup and drank chamomile tea and had toast and tea in bed? Or you drank ginger ale and you had soup? I mean, we were fine then. Just because they put a big name on it, they call it a pandemic. All right, well, somebody stand next to me. We'll both get the flu and we'll go to Niagara Falls. And I'll stay on the United States side and you take one step forward into Canada. You know what that does? It turns it into a pandemic. It just means that it crossed country borders. They're putting these big words on, just like doctors do. They're doing it to fool you. That's bullshit. I've got nothing to lose. Like I said, this channel is about the truth. I don't make a damn dime off of this. Neither do my admins. We are all volunteers. We are all people that were sick. Just like you, we are all people that are in this fight together. The world has gone to shit. How much worse do they want to make it? At least now, we'll be able to make it through a little more healthy than we were before. Think about all of the woman the other night with the son, epilepsy. That's insane. How about the moms that are coming on with their kids and they're in tears because they have autistic children that are being cured? How about all the cancer patients that are coming on that are using ivermectin along, whatever you want to do? I'm not even telling you to take this stuff. If you don't want to take it, don't take it. But if you want to, just know that there's another option out there for you to do. It's the old timers around here in their 90s. They know a lot more than anybody on this, I'll tell you right now, than most people on this planet. These guys live this shit. When I got a neighbor up the road that grinds up apple seeds into powder and takes a quarter of a teaspoon a day. 1 month he's splitting up blood. He's spitting up pink in his spit. Oh, that's that cancer. And then you see him a couple months later, and he's not spitting up that cancer anymore because the apple seeds have killed cancer. Oh, that's the other thing, guys. Cancer is a parasite. Parasites are worms. Ivermectin is a dewormer. Ivermectin's a mold. It's a spore that grows on dirt. It grows on grass. When you have a dog, your dog runs outside and it eats grass and then it throws up and you're saying, no, don't eat the grass. That's because the dog, by God or by nature, has an instinct that tells it to go outside and eat grass and get rid of those parasites or bacteria in its system. If you think you're any smarter than nature, you've got a lot of problems. I'll tell you that right now. All of that stuff was built into them. There's no fooling it. There's no getting around it. So I guess to sort of end it, we're a movement here on Dirt Road Discussions, and we're all waking up to the truth. We all have scars. We all have testimonies. And this is always going to be a platform for anybody that decides to take ivermectin, that wants to get their medical freedom away from Big Pharma and wants to get healed. No one's forcing anybody to do anything. No one's trying to sell you anything. You guys are on your own. All I'm doing is telling you what's out there. And if you decide to do it, you do it. If you have questions, you come here and ask the questions. To finish up the thing about the pencil erasers, there's 15 different kinds of paste out there. They all have different size notches on them to apply by weight for the animals. But when I was going through all of that darkness that I was living through and getting all different kinds of different horse paste, basically, guys, what I did was I simplified it. Keep it simple, stupid, is a pencil eraser twice a day. It narrowed down all the different notches. It all comes out to be the same, no matter how the notches are. 1.87% for the average human body comes out to a pencil eraser size. Okay? And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can't overdose on it. I've taken full tubes. Anybody that knows me closely knows that I just took a lot more than that recently in an experiment because I want to find out exactly what it does to you. I won't get into that because I don't want to advertise for people to go taking, it's just something that I'm doing on my own, messing with that pineal gland thing. So this journey, guys, October 21st, October 21, I spoke to Savage Dog. It was a Friday night. And he basically said, anybody have any questions, any comments, anything they want to say? And something just pushed me forward. And I said, yeah, I want to talk about ivermectin. And he said, well, go ahead, let's hear it. And I said, well, I'm sick of the media demonizing it. I said, because it saved my life. This shit actually saved me. And he, hold on, gave me that whole thing, right? In typical Savage fashion. And he's like, he said, give me your spiel. I'll give you 5 minutes. So I did my thing in 5 minutes, in which case he said, do you want your own channel or do you want to do like an hour on my show? What do you want to do? And at the time I said, why don't I just do an hour on your channel to see if anybody even cares about this? And he said, okay. So the first show of Dirt Road Discussion, the first show of me talking about parasites and ivermectin was October 10th, 2021. And then it was the second show, the 17th. And I was just doing Sundays. And then what was funny was after, it was actually a couple of weeks. He said, you got to get your own channel. And I said, what? He goes, I'm tired of it. He says, I'm getting more DMs about you and ivermectin. He says, you need your own channel. So I said, all right. On the 25th of October was when I met Monique. And she is my better half, but she's the same disease, the same state, the same doctor. What are the odds, right? Happy New England. So Savage said to me that week, do you want to do it like church? Do you want to do Sundays and Wednesdays? Why don't you add another week in? Because it seems like everybody's, the numbers were getting pretty big. I said, all right, sure. So November 3rd was my first church episode, if you will. So I did the 3rd and the 7th and the 10th and the 14th and the whole thing. Well, we made, Monique and I wound up making Dirt Road Discussions. It was the 14th of November was when he said I was done, that he wanted me to have my own channel because his DMs were getting overwhelmed. So we made Dirt Road Discussions.
That's a fact. He didn't have a choice. Honestly, y'all, I told him, you cannot come back on, because I tried to get him to get a channel. It's like, well, I don't know. I kind of like doing this. And I finally put my foot down and said, well, you're not coming back on here. You're either getting your own channel or your word ain't getting out. That's the truth.
So that was Sunday the 14th was when I got the boot. And then it was Monday the 15th. Monique and I made Dirt Road Discussions. So November 2021, the 15th was when we made the channel. So November 17th, 2021 was the very first show. of Dirt Road Discussions. And we have continued every Sunday and Wednesday since then. So tonight, guys, doing the math, is the 50th show. And like I said in the beginning, we hit 44,000 last night when Uncle Fred Funk was doing his thing on Fox News, talking about Tiger Woods. So Fred Funk, 44,000, 50th episode. And you all should be proud. This isn't a matter of headhunting. I'm not counting scalps. I don't give a shit. We're not selling anything here. This is just about getting the word out. All you got to do is just get healthy, guys. I get offers all the time. You know what? Thanks a million. You want to do me a favor? Get healthy. Let's go after Big Pharma. Let's go after all the piece of shit liars that are trying to sell us all these snake oils that are making us sick. Big Pharma is no good. All right? This shit's been around long enough, and it's about time we take our own medical back in our own hands. It's simple. So that's it. I figured the timing was kind of funny. I didn't even realize that it was 50 episodes up until today when I started to throw this together. I pulled out the calendars and I pulled out all my medical records, and trust me, if I could read half of that shit, I probably would have done more. But you know me, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a regular guy, just like anybody that's on here.
Hey, Danny, it's a good thing they only gave him 3 to 5 minutes, Fred, because if once he gets going, man, he would have let loose. So
I have to tell you, the only funny thing that would have been better about that was if he was sitting back with a bowl of Bluebell. You know, sitting back with a bowl of ice cream and telling his story, because that was pretty close. That was fun though. And I called Aunt Sharon after that. That was cool. That was good to see him on there.
You should get him. He would definitely get him to come on here. And folks, if you just listen to Fred, once he gets going, there's not much of a filter there. He'll let it rip. You should definitely do
that. Maybe I will. I'll set something up that I can get him on one of these nights. But that's it. I mean, so to say thank you to Savage for giving me, you know, there's a lot of things I never understood. I never tried to, obviously, to keep it simple, stupid. I never tried to overthink anything. I never really. I'm a good overthinker, but there's a lot of things that I just, no matter how much I try to overthink on, you never get to the bottom of it for real. And you know, I wonder why I lived through certain situations in my life that they could either be, depending on how you looked at them, as bad as what I went through with the babesiosis, or I don't know. Depends on how you look at it. I look at it all the same. I've lived through some pretty shitty moments, and I lived through that and started this ivermectin journey years ago, long before this bullshit flu came out. And that's when you really, you know, it really, that I honest to God, I mean, I think that I was saved for God to have me here to put this word forward to you. And I know that I trust the Spirit. I know that there's a lot of people on here that are God-fearing. I don't know exactly why. I don't go to church, and I'm not trying to make any enemies here, positive or negative. I'm just saying right out, something has made it so I have lived through what I lived through, and to put me here to get this word forward to you guys, because a lot of you are very sick, and none of us have any real help without being lied to. And I'm just a voice on the phone. I'm a regular guy. I listen to some of your stories, some of the people, some of the women I know with MS, and they swear like truck drivers, and they're out of their wheelchairs. You know, they start in a wheelchair, they go wheelchair to walker. Some of them go wheelchair right to cane. And then from cane right to to shopping carriage. Well, wait a minute. I thought MS wasn't curable. How about Lyme disease? The first bioweapon. Tell me that it's not. Prove me wrong. I'm sitting here waiting. I'm still sitting here waiting for somebody to tell me that there's something that ivermectin doesn't cure. Because every single person every single case that comes on this, and it's not even a case because I'm not a doctor, but every single person that comes on here with a testimony, think about it. I have no idea. You guys come on, you're reading the protocols. You're doing your thing. You are doing whatever you want to do. If I open up the channel for testimonies that night, you guys come on. Sometimes a lot of you, I don't even know who you are. And I can't believe some of the stuff that I'm hearing. It's amazing. This movement has gotten huge, and it's exactly what it is. It's a freedom movement. It's a freedom of our of our health.
Yeah, hey Danny, let me say this too. I think you'll agree, for everybody who's listening in, on voice chats and as far as following channels, it's not about the person behind the channel. It's about every one of you. Y'all are the ones that make channels special.
Absolutely.
So, I know this, just listening in to the testimonies are unbelievable. I mean, these are real people with real issues. Um, Nobody's being sold a, they're not coming on here being paid to say, hey, this worked and all. It's so it's all about the folks uh, who are out there contributing to channels, and I know Danny feels that too.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, I'm not selling anything because every other call or every other DM is somebody bitching that they can't find horse paste in the stores anymore. So so for sure that's that's how that's about as genuine as you're going to get when you feel people's frustration that that the word's getting out there. And I'm glad. I mean, I thank you all. Like I said, all I am is a voice on the phone. And I told you my story. Now you've had it in bits and pieces. Tonight you got the whole story. For those of you who had heard it before and didn't want to hear it again, sorry. For those of you who have heard it and for the first time, there you go. Now you know why I feel I had the right to start this channel, because people need to know the truth. All of this bullshit that's out there that they say is incurable, that it's got this and it's got that. So I'm going to do it quick. Lyme disease. I sat down with Dr. Allen about Lyme disease and told him that it's bullshit. It's only the next state over. It's easy. He's a liar. So when you say, oh, Lyme disease, well, Lyme disease is just a way to keep it simple, stupid. It's actually Babesiosis, Bartonella, Anaplasmosis, and Ehrlichiosis, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, or the Lone Star tick. Ugh, I did it again. There is one out in California, and I forgot what that one was. But that's all they are. There's a Borrelia. Ooh, it's a bacteria. Ivermectin kills the bacteria. The other ones are all spirochetes. You can't tell the difference between the spirochetes. Spirochetes are worms. Ivermectin kills worms. Ivermectin kills bacteria, bacterium, roundworms, tapeworms, spirochetes, and parasites. Yes, there are lots of parasites, but obviously it kills them all, because when you look at all the people that come on here with the giant realm of illnesses, and then they're coming back in a couple of weeks and saying, well, my diabetes is gone, or they're saying that my blood pressure is gone, or they're saying that my gout is gone, or my sinuses have cleared up, or my glaucoma is gone. And that's not because of the eye drops that Angie wound up putting together. That was just people that were taking regular ivermectin in the beginning. You've got biome in the mask of your face behind your nose. Your sinuses are your ears, your jaw, your teeth, your nose, your eye sockets, your neck, and your lungs. You ever hear of anybody dying of an abscessed tooth? It's horrible. It's an infection that kills you from the brain up. All around it, it's a mess. It's horrible. They try to put drains in you and everything to get it out. If you take ivermectin, it kills that bacteria. Put it on your face, put it like a lotion. You cannot, I'm telling you, there's nothing you can do. You can't overdose on this stuff. But you do need to take it precautionally, because you can make yourself lethargic. You can take too much and it will make you spacey. It is not going to kill you. In 2015, it won the Nobel Peace Prize for curing 3.7 billion human beings. All right? So all of this shit, all these lies that are out there now, it's all because of this bullshit COVID thing. Get rid of the bacteria in your red blood cells. Start carrying around hemoglobin like you're supposed to, oxygen. Get rid of the parasites. Enable your body to heal. I have dealt with Desert Storm. Seriously, like post-traumatic stress. I'm not saying it's easy because the herxing, the die-off of the parasites from someone who has a mental issue, that's where their herxing is going to be. Someone who has eye issues, a woman the other night, 60 years, lost her eyesight. There was another woman, lost her eyesight for 35 years. She had bird shit fly in her eyes. She was an archaeologist out in Idaho. The wind blew, it blew some guano up and it went into her eyes. She started taking it. A few weeks later, she got her eyesight back. That's a bacteria. Or it could have been a parasite that was in the bird shit. Who knows? But she was on here credibly telling her story. You know, this is just, you guys, you either want to do this or you don't. There's nothing for sale here. This information is free. You can take it or you don't have to take it. But I can guarantee you if you take it, let me say pretty much guarantee, whatever's wrong with you, you will be healed. I can quite confidently tell you that. If it's pneumonia, if it's post-traumatic stress, if it's autism, if it's shingles, if it's fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, any one of the autoimmune diseases, any one of the Lyme diseases, we've already had people. Trust me, in 50 shows, I've spoken to a lot of people. This isn't just Sundays and Wednesdays. My DM goes all the time. My phone rings all the time. If you guys think that this is just some frickin' Facebook thing, you're wrong. This is not a cough drop for a sore throat. This is people's lives. All I want you to know is the truth. What you do with the truth is up to you. All right? So thanks for joining in. Pretty good number on here. It is 8 o'clock, 7:57. So why don't we just do, I don't care, testimonies? Let's do testimonies just to try to go along with what I did. Not going to compare them, guys. Don't feel like obligated that you have to try to one-up me or anything else, but bring on some testimonies, Di, and let's see who's on tonight.
Okay, first up is Susie Payton.
Hey, Susie. Susie, are you there? The bottom middle button, Susie. It's blue. Turn it green. Susie, going once? Going twice? All right, next one, Di.
Next up is Libby R.
Hey, Libby. Libby, are you there? All right. Libby, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm just so damn excited.
What's going on?
Well, I've only been taking this for 3 days. I'm only doing it one time a day. I've been chronically sick since I was 4 years old. I'm almost 63. Breast cancer survivor, diagnosed with chronic fatigue in the mid-90s. And so, you know, just blah, blah, blah. But I listened to you when you were on Savage a while back, but honestly, I was scared to do it. But finally, I just said, what the hell, I'm going to do it. And I went to Tractor Supply and bought it. And like I said, this is my 3rd day. And I went back to get the ivermectin liquid, the cow stuff, the sterile solution. So my question is, let me first say, not only am I excited, I'm excited because I'm actually starting to feel better. Just my energy is getting better. And so anyway, but I wanted to ask, I know you said you can't take too much, but I've only heard bits and pieces about, like somebody said you mix the liquid with coconut oil and you can put it on like a sore neck or whatever. Can you give a little more information on how to use the liquid?
Yeah, so the liquid was actually brought on because one of our people, Stephanie, came on one night because she was talking about cancer treatments that used to be done through the belly button because your belly button never heals. And I started out on Facebook. I'm still over there. I don't deal with Facebook much anymore because it's just kind of like, it's just me and my friends over there. But so what was happening was, a friend of mine knew my story, and there was ivermectin versus COVID-19. So I jumped on there and I was getting people out of COVID ICUs by putting the liquid into water bottles, like 3 milliliters into a water bottle and sneaking it into the hospital, and people drinking it, and their oxygen levels were going from the low 70s into the 90s in under, in like under 24 hours. So then it turned into, as we were going along, Stephanie came on, she told her story, and we were getting more and more people on ventilators, knowing about the belly button now, and I had tried it out myself. And just to see, like, what the hell is this going to do? So I laid on my bed and I took an eyedropper and I started to put the ivermectin liquid into my eyes straight, which was not a good idea. It burned. We've since figured out a good recipe that works fantastic. But people that were on ventilators, we were putting liquid ivermectin in their belly button. Your belly button, because that's how you are when you're in the womb, that's your lifeline from your mom. You know what I mean? That's where all your nutrients, everything comes from your belly button, and your belly button never heals. So it's just a balloon knot, right? So you put the liquid on there, the liquid ingests, it goes into your system. It was getting people off of ventilators, 9 people in the first week off of ventilators.
Wow.
So anybody, right, exactly. And there were, obviously there was, oh, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And I just sat here saying, F you, because we just saved 9 lives this week. Then in a month, it was 19 people in a month, et cetera, et cetera. So then it was like, okay, now we've got the liquid. Now we know what it can do. It's only 1% for cattle and swine, but what else can we do with it? Because it's just as effective in its own right. It's not a paste. People didn't like to take the paste, but then also because of the flavor, people were coming on and there was a lot of vertigo. People that thought they had vertigo, which is obviously, like I said, the snow globe. Well, then me knowing that I had labyrinthitis, I'm like, well, the quickest way to do that is to go right into your ear. So get an eyedropper, get the liquid, and put a couple of drops in your ear. Since then, we have cleaned that up to just say, all you got to do is take a couple of Q-tips and dunk it into the liquid 1% injectable and put it into your ears and swab your ears. Or if you have sinus problems, if you got a stuffy nose, just swab inside your nasal passage with it. You can
How many
put it on your.
do that? How many times a day
Huh?
can you do that? How many times a day can you do that? Does it matter?
Twice. No, I mean, I wouldn't do it more than twice. It's not enough to like 1 milliliter equals 100 pounds. So, but the thing is, you don't want to, it's not enough to consider it to be a dose. But I mean, still from the inside out, you still want to take the pencil erasers a day internally. You want to get it in your bloodstream. You want it to get it to cross your blood-brain barrier and get up, because ultimately 80% of us as mammals have parasites in our brain. That's not me saying that. That's God, that's nature, that's the way we were designed. That is true, real science. So, but you can, some people were doing that liquid, they were rubbing it on kids' chests or their backs who have bad allergies. People were actually putting it on their face because it ingests through your epidermis, which is your largest organ. And it gets into your skin. So I was actually using Dervet, the one that's made from the corn oil. And I was putting that on my ears because I had a woman get a hold of me from Texas, 83 years old, who cleared up skin cancer on her ears, that her mom said that they've been doing. She said her mom was doing that to her and her sisters when they were kids growing up out in the sun. So I started to put the Dervet on my ears, and I had skin cancer on my right ear, and it cleared up in days. So sunspots, rosacea, all of those things, people are getting rid of moles. People are getting rid of, I can't even think of those other things, skin tags, all of these different things. So anyway, it was just the liquid. It's 1 milliliter per 100 pounds. If you, I wouldn't go crazy with it in the beginning, because you're still going to have to go through the herxing. You're going to herx the same. but you can put it in your orange juice. You can put it in your water. You can ingest it a couple times a day. I tell people with the coconut oil, if with a paste, if you don't have a liquid, you can take the paste, that one pencil eraser, and you can mix it with coconut oil or you can mix it with olive oil. These are all simple ways. It's no different than any of the shit that our parents would have done to us as a kid. They found a way to make us better.
No doubt.
You know,
Well,
so I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was gonna say thank you very much. This, I like I said, I'm just excited because I'm just, as we just have a lot of crap we've had to deal with all of our lives. So you've just given us a lot of hope, and I have no doubt that God saved you to save a lot of other people. I have no doubt in my mind.
Well, I owe him one then, because I'll tell you what, I lived through some pretty dark shit, and I kind of wondered why I ever did. And here I am, and I actually feel like, you know, like it's not like I was feeling worthless, but I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, where am I going? What am I supposed to be doing? There's got to be more to life than running equipment. There's got to be more to life than submarines and, you know, working on old trucks and stuff like that. And on all of a sudden, this whole thing came along. I mean, it wasn't, not talking COVID. Like my first person that I helped was my friend's 11-year-old daughter with fibromyalgia. Like that was insane. And she started taking Equimax at 11 years old. And at 13 years old, she was running all around playing soccer with her friends.
Wow. One other quick question. I've also, being a breast cancer survivor and all that stuff, I started on the ivermectin a while and the hydroxychloroquine. I got that from American Frontline Doctors after this first started. And then I got
Sure.
off that, got on
Yeah.
the ivermectin. So I'm only on 3 milligrams a week. Should I continue that, or do you recommend just getting off of that?
You can do whatever you want. I mean,
Okay.
if you're on ivermectin pills, to do the pills and the paste, I mean, I don't deal with the pills because I've taken enough pills in my life that
Right.
you couldn't pay me enough to do it anymore. And I know that the purest form of ivermectin right now on the planet is for horses because of their system. And we share
Yeah.
90% of our DNA. So, I mean, you can absolutely, if you've got breast cancer, use it topically. You know, if
Well,
you want to, I don't see taking both. I mean, that's just me. I mean, sometimes more is less. You know, that you
no, that's
can.
good. No, I just, like I said, I take it. I took one last Tuesday, but did I take one this week? I guess I did because today's Wednesday. And anyway, yeah, I'll just continue that. Like I said, I'm a breast cancer survivor. I don't have cancer now, praise the Lord. But anyway, I mainly got on the ivermectin just because of the, what do they call it? Not the sweat. What do they call it?
Shedding.
Thank you, the
Yeah.
shedding. Yeah, I
Yeah,
couldn't think of
shedding is real. It's
Yes,
definitely
that's
real. I've
like,
dealt with a lot of people.
yes, the shedding. So no, that's no problem. I agree. Too much is, too much. So I'm excited. I all your time. God bless you and your admins and everybody, because this is saving a lot of people.
Well, thanks for your support and best of luck. And like I said, I mean, you can do whatever you'd like to do, but I mean, if you've come this far, if you wanted to start using it topically, if you wanted to take the paste and mix it with the coconut oil and use it as a lotion, you know, make a salve out of it, there's nobody stopping you. You know, that's
Okay.
the good thing about having your medical freedom. You can do what you want to do.
Well, thank you, my dear. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Good luck. Keep us posted.
I will. Thank you.
Bye. Who's next, Di?
Next up is Donna.
Hey, Donna.
Hi, darling.
How are
I've
you?
been, I am too blessed to be stressed. Well, I am. I've been listening to y'all for a couple of months,
Yep.
and religious, passed on everything I can to everybody who's listening. And even though my husband's been just rolling his eyes at me today, I got to put ivermectin on some skin cancer on his face and top of his ears and things that been driving me. So I'm getting him there. I'm gonna have him on the pace before it's over.
Good.
I didn't really have a whole lot of issues. Osteoarthritis, both knees, and bladder control problems, but they're better.
Yep.
So, and I'm doing the liquid in the ears and the nostrils, and I'm doing the thing with the toothpaste now. I went to the dentist yesterday, and my dentist goes, "You're your gums are really pink. I said, yeah, that's ivermectin. Yeah. And so, yeah. So I'm brushing my teeth with my ivermectin. They're freaking out because I had a lot of dental work yesterday, and my teeth, my gums should really be bad, but they're not. I did my
Well, that's the
ivermectin.
thing. That's all the sinuses. It's all bacteria that gets in there. The ivermectin kills the bacteria.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people, you want to talk about marketing and bullshit sales. They've been telling us for years about fluoride. Now, I told you about fluoride in eye drops, right? In the Ocuflox eye drops that they had me take 3 times a day for years. To sit there and say, and to put fluoride in toothpaste and mouthwash. We've taken wisdom teeth. You listen to the bullshit stories about how acidic lemon juice is and how it eats away the enamel on your teeth.
Mhm.
Well, we took 2 wisdom teeth that were pulled. We put each of them, one in straight fluoride and one in straight lemon juice. You know which one looks brand new and which one isn't even there anymore? The
Uh-huh.
one that was in the lemon juice looks like a brand new tooth. The one that was in the fluoride is gone. It dissipated. It was eaten away like it was put in acid. So any asshole that goes and tells you that fluoride is good for your teeth, they need to go fly a kite because this is real life shit. I'm not talking internet stuff. I'm not talking TikTok foolishness. I'm talking real life applied science.
Yep, that's what I told my dentist. They're always trying to give me fluoride treatments. I have been off of fluoride for forever and off of vaccinations for forever.
Good for
And
you.
I refuse to take the Jim Jones juice. I just flat refuse. And so, you know how you're always talking about weaponizing the parasites?
Yeah.
I was listening to Non-Vaxxer 420, and he's got all kinds of stuff. And one of them was about how they've put parasites in everything, and how they're trying to get rid of all of us non-useful people, and most of the, how do you get rid of 95% of the world? Well, aerial spraying and parasites, and how Bill Gates is fixing the mosquitoes to go and vax you. So
Well, and that's
yeah.
right. And that's getting into the political aspect of it, which I don't want to do. But I can tell you for sure that that's how when they created Lyme disease, what they wanted to do was the first thing they wanted to do was weaponize mosquitoes. And it was not possible. Mosquitoes die too quickly. So then they went to cockroaches, and cockroaches hide when you walk in the room. So the next best thing was a tick, because ticks are resilient. A tick will live 9 years without feeding. Ticks travel on mice, they travel on birds. There is no such thing as Lyme disease. As I said, it was only because it was the first case was put on by Dr. Allen in East Lyme, Connecticut. They're not deer ticks, they're black-legged ticks. You know, the ticks are very small. That's the nymph stage. Like, they have stages when they're babies and when they grow up. You know, there are so many different things if people actually knew. I just happened to sit there because I had a lot of time on my hands and I figured this stuff out. You know, you learn a lot when you grow up on a farm. You learn a lot when you're with old timers on construction sites. Korean War vets, World War II vets, Vietnam vets. You learn from these guys. And now I'm learning that the sickest people in the Herxing are any of the military that are alive now, because the military get the most vaccinations. So
Yep.
when you see somebody like Stu Peters, who is interviewing doctors who are talking about they've taken apart the vaccinations and they've proven that there are parasites in them now, then that just confirms any little bit of homework that I've done before. So it's just be ready for it. Kind of like take your Ovaltine. We'll make sure you take your ivermectin.
Well, I'm taking my ivermectin.
Good for
And
you.
you've been a blessing. I have spread you far and wide. I've got you all over my Facebook. I've got you everywhere.
Well,
Because
good. Thank you.
the truth will free people. And my dentist, I sent her all of your pictures. I just sent them all to her, and I've got her hooked on the feelings. And one of the other ladies that are at the dentist too. So I'm
Good.
working on it.
Thanks, Donna.
Be a blessing, honey. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Who's next, Di?
Next up is Mary Griffall.
Hi, Mary. Mary, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I have a question to ask. I'm also taking it, and
Sure.
I had the COVID about a month and a half ago,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of stuff in my lungs,
Yeah.
and I'm still coughing it up, but
Yeah.
it's cleared up so much.
Yeah.
And I've had glasses for, I'd say, 6 or 7 years now, and I've noticed here in the last, I don't know, a week and a half or so, that my vision is actually, my eyes were really sensitive. I mean, really sensitive. I can't wear makeup
Yeah.
anymore, eyeliner, because it just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that my eyes aren't sensitive and my vision is getting better.
That seems to be the general census. Everybody's having a lot of, they talk about the blood-brain barrier and it not crossing. And, when you get parasites in your brain and they compromise, whether it's whether it's your emotions or whether it's your optical or, there's all kinds of things. But when you get that optic nerve cleared off and you get that part of your brain, when your brain starts firing on all 8 cylinders again, we have people with cataracts, actual photographs of cataracts going away in weeks from ivermectin.
Wow.
Macular degeneration, glaucoma, you name it. Like, we've got pictures of all of this stuff. That's so, when you get parasites away from your brain and your brain starts firing on all 8 cylinders again, it's amazing. Now, obviously, we don't put technical terms on shit because we're not doctors. We're just people that are trying this stuff and it's working. So that's good for you. I hope you wind up not having to wear glasses. Like the woman that was on the other night in the impromptu that said she went to church and she didn't have to wear her glasses. I thought that was fantastic.
I have another question.
Yeah. You muted yourself, Mary.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah.
My mother is 94
Yeah.
and she took the jab.
Yeah.
My sisters took her up to get it because she's,
Yeah.
that's the whole deal with her. She gets
Yeah.
your flu shot, gets your whatever.
Yeah.
And after she got her COVID jab, she's been diagnosed with congestive heart failure.
Yeah.
So she's had a lot of fluid build up and she's had to have it drained off once. And she's had pneumonia 3 times since she's had the COVID shot.
Yeah.
She also has macular degeneration,
Okay.
glaucoma.
Yeah.
And I took it down to her last week and I put it on her feet. I rubbed it in with some lotion that I had because
Sure.
she had a foot bothering her.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'm going to rub some of this on your foot. And so I did. And the next afternoon, she goes, my foot's not hurting me like it has been.
Yeah.
And so I know that's, it was just a day, but anyway, the eye drops. I have a question about the eye drops, and I also have a question about the apple and the onion. When you
All right.
cook the apple and the onion, you drink the juice or do you eat the apple and the onion and the juice?
No, the apple and onion, what it is when you make that, when you cut the onion up and you cut the cells and they mix together, when the onion makes your eyes burn, that's because it's a chemical reaction. It's making an acid. And then when you take the apple, you're getting actually the apple seeds. And when you mix that all together, that becomes an antibacterial. It kills cancer cells. That's what
Okay.
that does. That's a very old remedy that works 100%. Low fat diet. Because
Do you eat it
parasites.
though? Consume all of it, right?
I know, no, but just the liquid. As long as you do about
Just the
6
liquid.
ounces,
Okay.
6 ounces 3 times a day. If she's got cancer, do that 6 ounces like 3 times a day.
She
I
doesn't
know
have
people. I know
cancer.
people that were eating the apple, and it's only an apple and onion. I mean, you can do whatever you'd like with it, but I know that
Right.
the liquid to get into your system that's how I was taught.
Okay. All right.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. And I so
Yeah. Hey,
appreciate
listen.
everything.
I want to tell you this, and I want to tell everybody. The other night I did the chat about the jab, and this is what the vaccination does with your mom being that old and the reason why she's going to be getting that sick. The vaccination reduces your immune system. Okay. Each additional booster shot is going to reduce the immune system even more. So just know that. So when you said she got vaccinated and then she got pneumonia and then everything else, you have to start working on her immune system. So that HCQ, the vitamin C with the quinine thing, that recipe, you need to start doing vegetables. You need to start have healthy eating. Get away from the processed sugars. Get away from that stuff, like I always say. That's why you don't want to do this. What you're doing is ultimately, the more you take, the more susceptible you're going to be. That's why people that are getting vaccinated are winding up in the hospital. They don't have the immune system to fight off. They're not even going to have the immune system to fight off the common cold. But if you take ivermectin, you're going to be killing that bacteria in your cells. You're going to be killing the parasites that are going to be excited even more, because your immune system actually keeps those parasites at bay in most cases. Your immune system also keeps that bacteria in your cells at bay. Well, if you lose your immune system, that shit turns your insides into the wild, wild west. I don't care what anybody tells you. So this is something that everybody on this channel right now needs to know. You need to start smartening up. Stop with the masks. They're taking away your immune system. Don't get the boosters. They are taking away your immune system. If you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, thank your lucky stars and wash your hands with soap and water. Don't use a hand sanitizer, because hand sanitizers kill all of the germs. You need to keep some sort of germs on your body to keep your immune system needs germs to fight off. That's how it stays up and running. We're supposed to have germs. Like when we're kids, we're supposed to play in the dirt so our body fights off the germs. We're supposed to eat sometimes with dirty hands. So you get those germs in you, your immune system has something to fight off. They've got us so afraid of all of this shit, we don't even know what's up or down anymore. So with your mom, do the ivermectin slowly, don't quit, but also start working on her immune system. That lemon juice and water, that HCQ, if you want to do that apple and onion, go right ahead. You can do whatever you'd like to do. If it were me, I would controllably throw the kitchen sink at her.
Thank
I'm
you
not,
so. I
yeah, I
appreciate
mean, that's,
it. God bless
it's,
you.
you got nothing to lose, really. But I mean, that's just, listen, that's just a little bit of truth. And unfortunately, this truth is coming out just like it did with cell phone and brain cancer. You know, just like it did with smoking cigarettes. All this shit comes out 10 years later. It's like, whoops, sorry. What do you mean, whoops, sorry? What about all this bullshit? Look at all the money that they're making off of us. And I don't want to see people start to, this vaccination thing, we can get this sooner than it gets us, is I guess the moral of my story on that one. So good luck with mom and keep us posted. Just keep her going. All right.
I will. Thank you so much. God bless you.
You're welcome, Mary. Good luck. Who's next, Di?
Next up is Fun Graham.
Hey, Fun Graham.
Hi, congratulations on 50 episodes, and thank you very much for taking my call.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
I had migraines for a long time.
Yep.
Then I got Hashimoto's thyroid. Then I got
Yep.
liver disease. Then I got
Yep.
heart disease. Last year in January, I was diagnosed with polycythemia vera, which is blood cancer, which turns into leukemia.
Correct.
And about 3 weeks ago, I got a blood clot in my leg. And also 3 of my teeth were rotting from the inside out, which 3 dentists said they've never seen before. So they figured it was from my blood.
Okay.
So I started ivermectin on the 1st, April 1st.
Okay.
And I'm taking 2 or 3 erasers a day.
Yeah.
And sometimes I take more because it just squishes out of that, applicator.
Yeah.
I'm doing at least 2 or 3 of the onion apple drink every day, 10 ounces.
Okay.
I'm doing the liquid drops in my ears, nose, and navel.
Okay.
I'm doing lots of lemon water. I made the HCQ, but I'm not sure how often and when I'm supposed to do that, how much.
Okay. So if you did the HCQ, the Roger Williams, my relative recipe, with the full fruit, not just the peels, because there's a crappy one online that's just the peels, and that's actually no good for the biome in your gut. If you're doing that, I drink full mason jars. Like I'll go outside and split wood and come in and I drink a full mason jar. I do it. I do a
Okay.
full glass in the morning and I do a full glass at night. So that is entirely up to you on how much of that you'd like to consume. But it's completely healthy because it's quinine and vitamin C.
Right. And I think all these things are, I mean, the apple onion drink I thought would be horrible, and it's really very tasty.
No,
And
and listen, that's something that's been around since the 1700s.
yeah. So I'm
That's
very
that's one of
happy.
those things when they came over here, a lot of people, they laugh about the HCQ, but that's basically what it is. When you see, if somebody's going to tell you to take a pill that's hydrochloroquine, you got to take this pill. Well, first of all, why did you put hydro as the beginning of a pill? Hydro is liquid. Quin on
Right.
the end is quinine. So that's one I'll let them get away with. But they don't even make sense when they try to push this shit. They stopped scurvy. They killed all the bacteria and all the shit as they were traveling over here, settling this country. All these, that's why I say that's all the doctors that have framed the toilet paper because they're so full of shit. They've taken all of these natural cures that we had in the beginning and they're lying to us and they're just trying to make a bunch of money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you've done, like I just said to the lady before, I mean, you're throwing the kitchen sink at it, and I can just wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you. I haven't noticed much Herxheimer except for I had some fogginess around my left eye and brain for a couple days.
Yeah.
The other thing is I was doing since last July cannabis
Sure.
in suppositories, and
Yep.
it got rid of a lot of the itching that I had because polycythemia vera, it's severe itching.
Sure.
And I noticed once I had a few days of the ivermectin, my itching came back horribly for a couple days, and I figure I pissed off the parasites.
It's exactly what you did.
Okay.
There are some things, the cannabis is okay, but it's, when you get into the bottled pills, when you get into the freaking charcoal and the diatomaceous earth, let me tell you what diatomaceous earth does on a job site. It turns to cement when you get it wet.
Yeah.
You see all of these things, they're all junk. They don't do a damn thing except make somebody's wallet fatter. They don't
Right.
do anything. It's
Yeah.
kind of like I always got a kick out of people that were, and like I said, you can do that. This is my own opinion. But when you hear people that say, well, I'm going to start taking this on a full moon. I actually there's a woman that comes on here and we had a good laugh about it because she's a self-proclaimed witch, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, I'm going to take ivermectin when the full moon comes up. And she said, what do you think about that? And I said, well, I haven't taken my chainsaw and cutting anybody in half to see what their parasites are doing during a full moon cycle. And I said, as far as anybody that's sick, who wants to wait for a full moon to start getting
Exactly.
parasites out of you? Because your parasites don't just hang out in hammocks and wait around for you for a full moon to start messing with you.
Right. Right.
This shit is active all the time. You are a mammal. The warmer your blood system gets, the more those little bastards work around inside you and compromise you.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of different theories out there, but there's only one, and then people, like I said, people can do what they want. You can do what you'd like to do. If you choose to listen to my voice and do what I'm saying, then have at it, lady. And I guarantee you're going to be all right at some point. It's going to take you a while.
Yeah, I know it's going to take several months, if not longer. But I have great gratitude. I have great hope. I have great faith in you, Danny.
Well, it took me 5 months. I'm going to tell you, buckle up.
Yeah. I figured it's going to be a fun ride.
Okay. Well, keep us posted, would you?
All right. And is it okay to have raw honey, or is it too much like sugar?
I say no.
Okay.
But it's glucose, and I'll tell you why I say this. There's kind of a fine line with that, because a lot of people don't realize that your brain metabolizes. All right?
Mm-hmm.
When your brain metabolizes, meaning it burns energy, it burns glucose. So
Right.
like breast cancer or cervical cancer, that's because lack of melatonin. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so your brain metabolizing, burning up glucose, reducing the melatonin, causing or creating or firing up those parasites, causing those two in a woman's abdomen, So if you do, it's kind of, for me, it's a catch-22 because it's sugar, but it's natural sugar. So like
Right.
I'm telling people not to do ice cream and popsicles and cake and soda, but you can do grapes and blueberries and strawberries and natural sugars, carrots, lots of sugar in carrots. I would say no ketchup, but I would say carrots. You follow me? So,
Oh,
but once
absolutely.
again, honey is a natural sugar.
Right.
So